Good evening and thank you for joining us. It has been 26 days since a record-breaking storm hit the nation's capital on Canada Day. More than 6,000 basements were flooded here in Ottawa, leaving behind devastating damage, and one of the hardest hit properties, the Carlingwood branch of the Ottawa Library, remains closed. CTV's Natalie Van Roy starts us off.
Caution tape surrounds the Carlingwood branch of the Ottawa Library 26 days after a devastating flood.
They had water coming in, and I think you can see right here that that slopes downward. So this is in the children's area, and the carpets were soaked, and the water was enough that it wrecked the shelving.
The building on Woodruff Avenue flooded during the July 1st storm. It's been closed ever since, and there's no specific reopening date.
It looks like it's September, and it might be mid-September. So not great news, but that's still, relatively at the beginning of the school year when everybody needs it, but they got to get those carpets out.
Staff at the library say the areas affected by the flooding at the Carlingwood branch contained around 25,000 items.
You know the library's closed, right?
Ottawa Councillor Teresa Kavanagh says as far as she knows, the area wasn't contaminated. It's just wet. And thankfully, the collection wasn't damaged.
The books are fine. I think people were worried about that.
But during peak summer and the school break, the community is feeling the impact of temporarily losing this beloved space.
Lots of people using it for different reasons. Computers are always busy, people looking for jobs, and lots of different programming. We used to walk over with our kids. And
Catherine Cole and her family have been going to other branches in the meantime, including Rosemount.
I know it's difficult for our library to be closed, but my thoughts are more with the people who've had to deal with their houses being flooded.
For now, the exterior book drop remains closed, and members are being asked to not return items. Another branch that flooded on July 1st was in the Nepean Centrepoint branch, which will reopen the exterior drop box for returns on Monday. The first and second floors will reopen on July 30th, and the lower level of Centrepoint will remain closed until November for restoration work. Natalie Van Roy, CTV News.
We're learning more about a stabbing in Craig Henry Park that sent a man in his 50s to hospital Thursday night. The area councillor says the man was trying to intervene in a dispute between several young girls before he was stabbed. In a social media post, Councillor Sean Devine says all the girls involved in the dispute were under 15 years old. He says police told him the man who was stabbed was the father of one of those girls. Paramedics tell us the 55-year-old was stabbed twice in the abdomen before he was taken to hospital, the trauma center, in stable condition. According to Councillor Devine, 2 suspects have been arrested, but it is a situation that comes as a shock to those in the community.
Thought it would be safe around here with just a police station just a block or 2 away too. Yeah, it's hard to believe that, who was involved with this accident, this stabbing.
Councillor Devine says he is advocating for greater safety measures in Craig Henry Park, including increased patrols and meaningful enforcement when officers encounter any illegal activity. He says crime prevention through environmental design measures will also be explored for Craig Henry Park. Ontario Provincial Police say a 16-year-old girl has died following a single vehicle crash north of Cornwall early this morning. Emergency crews responded to the crash along Headline Road near County Road 19 in South Stormont around 3:40 a.m. The girl was pronounced deceased at the scene. 2 other occupants suffered serious injuries and were transported to a local hospital before being airlifted to a hospital here in Ottawa. Anyone with information or dashcam footage is asked to contact OPP. And Ottawa police are continuing to investigate after a collision between an e-bike and a car last night in Barrhaven. It happened at the intersection of Strandherd Drive and Dealership Drive at around 9:15. Police say the 16-year-old rider of the e-bike suffered minor injuries. No charges have been laid, but the investigation is ongoing. Well, it was a pretty nice day here in the nation's capital. A nice look there behind me at the Alexandra Bridge just before the sun set here in Ottawa. There's a live look through our Centennial Glass Skycam. It's pitch black out there, but it's still pretty warm. 22 degrees right now. We will take that for this time of night. We do have a chance of showers overnight. and that is going to carry over into Monday and Tuesday. So we unfortunately have a bit of a wet week ahead of us. You can see that risk of a thunderstorm creeping in late afternoon for tomorrow. I mentioned right now we're currently sitting at 22. There's that chance of showers, and we'll have more, including this satellite radar. Another look at that in just a little bit. Prime Minister Mark Carney has called by-elections in 3 federal ridings for August 31st. Candidates will seek to replace former Conservative MP Richard Martel in the Quebec riding of Chicoutimi-Lafleur. Martel resigned as an MP after being appointed to the Senate. In the Toronto riding of Beaches East York, there's an opening to replace former Liberal MP Nate Erskine-Smith, and the 3rd by-election will be held in North Vancouver Capilano riding, most recently represented by former Liberal MP and now Canada's ambassador to the European Union, Jonathan Wilkinson. So the Liberals currently hold a slim majority in the House of Commons, and they will need to win one of those by-elections in order to keep that. The Liberals have 172 seats, including the Speaker. Conservatives, they have 139. The Bloc Québécois have 21. The New Democrats have 5 seats, while the Green Party has 1 seat. There's also 1 independent, and 4 seats, which include those that are up for grabs in those by-elections, are vacant. 1 month after devastating earthquake struck Venezuela, members of Ottawa's Venezuelan community, they gathered downtown today, urging the world not to forget those still suffering. Here's CTV's Josh Morano.
1 month after devastating earthquakes hit Venezuela, dozens gathering at Ottawa's Human Rights Monument, united by a message of hope.
This is a worldwide campaign to remind people around the world that even if the earthquake, happened a month and a few days ago, the needs of the people in Venezuela are huge.
Rise Up Venezuela is a grassroots campaign bringing people together in about 70 cities around the world, aimed at raising awareness, encouraging humanitarian support, and standing with those still recovering.
It's been 1 month and 2 days since this happened, and twin earthquakes devastated our land, and there's so much devastation.
According to the latest humanitarian reports, more than 5,000 people have died, with roughly 17,000 injured. For Zuli Alvarado, born in Caracas, watching the destruction from Canada has been especially difficult.
Yes, I have family down there, and the only encouraging thing that I can tell you at the moment is that we've seen a lot of miracles come from the rubble.
Organizers say many communities still lack basic supplies, and they're urging Canada to continue their support.
The needs are so huge, and everything will help. So we don't want people to forget.
As a Venezuelan, I wish we had a government that would allow us to welcome rescuers, that would allow us to welcome a lot of the donations that are being given.
For many here, the distance to Venezuela hasn't weakened their connection to home.
I do know people in Venezuela who are very devastated, and people here in Canada who have lost people in Venezuela. So it's very, very painful for all of us.
Josh Morano, CTV News.
Atletico Ottawa hosting Victoria's Pacific FC at TD Place this afternoon, and this one went right down to the wire.
Things are wide open now. Overruns the ball, though, and that allows defenders to get back. Rattles around, Chateau-Florio on his debut!
Nicolas Chateau-Florio scoring in the dying seconds of the match for Ottawa to seal this one. 3-2 is the final score for the home side. A huge goal for the Ottawa local in his Atletico debut. Ottawa's next match is set for this coming Saturday. They'll be playing out west, taking on Vancouver FC. And the Tour de France wrapped up today, and there was some Ottawa representation at the world-class race. Derek G. West, the only Canadian participating in the Tour de France this year, finishing 25th overall. Slovenian Tadej Pogačar finished first, cementing his status as one of the all-time greats in cycling history. This was his record-tying 5th Tour de France title.
What's so special about chamber music is that it's so intimate and there's so much connection.
Still ahead, Ottawa Chamberfest makes its return. What you need to know right after the break. There's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam. It is 22 degrees. Ottawa Chamberfest is taking center stage at various locations right across the city. And of course, that, as always, is drawing in many music lovers. CTV's Camille Wilson has more.
It's a journey through music for music lovers Neil Crawford and Sylvie Mougeot.
It's just an incredible diversity of music, and to be able to spend 10 days immersed in it is really fun, and it's really efficient.
With this festival, you get that nice meditative music as well, and calming music.
For nearly 2 decades, attending Ottawa's Chamberfest has been their tradition.
Chamberfest has a lot of really different things that aren't played that often, a lot of new music, different combinations.
Over the course of the 11-day summer festival, 60 events, including kids shows and an all-Ukrainian concert.
What's so special about chamber music is that it's so intimate, and there's so much connection. It's like conversation between all of the players. And we really try to break the fourth wall, too, so that everyone in the room is really as involved as we are.
Each performance made up of a small group of musicians, like this one, with primary performers violinist Yolanda Bruno and accordion player Michael Bridge. And then showcase other artists like cellist Beth Silver.
It was a really important part of my development as a musician, because it was probably some of my first professional gigs with a lot of mentors of mine who trusted me to give, smaller concerts at first, and then starting to collaborate with different people.
Some loyal chamber music lovers say this festival has enriched their life.
I've attended a lot of the events, in fact, most of the events.
Yes.
And it's a lovely mixture of new talent and well-known talent as well. So it's a very good balance of musical genres and artists.
And for others, the opportunity to discover new artists.
The Chamber Fringe series at night brings, really pushes the envelope on what chamber music is, and it's always something new and interesting.
Camille Wilson, CTV News.
It was a beautiful night here in Ottawa, and that's a perfect example right there. A nice sunset over the Gatineau Hills, a time-lapse there from Scott Rook shooting that for us, so thank you, Scott. Here's a look at the satellite radar. Very little in the way of weather activity. A little bit that, for the most part, missed Ottawa. Some light rain earlier in some parts of the city, but that's going to change. We're expecting a lot of rain in the next 7 days. 18 degrees is tonight's low. Chance of a thunderstorm, depending on where you are here in the city. 16 is the low in Gatineau. And then warming up tomorrow to 27 degrees. But again, the rain is going to be the story across the board, hanging around 26 or 27 degrees everywhere you look, except for Tremblant at 23 and Maniwaki at 25, but they have the same expected conditions. So the 7-day forecast, unfortunately shows that it's going to be a rain jacket and boots type of week. 40% chance of showers on Monday, 60% on Tuesday, 40% again on Wednesday. Still ahead, the latest on the wildfire situation here in Ontario and in BC. Wildfire activity across Canada remains high, with over 160 active wildfires burning across northern Ontario. Additional crews from Alberta have arrived to the fire line near Thunder Bay to support ongoing firefighting efforts. Crews are working to locate and extinguish hot spots along the fire perimeter, with helicopter bucketing operations providing additional support. Crews continue to build hose lines and patrol the areas for any signs of fire activity. Meantime, in British Columbia, wildfire activity is also high across the southern part of the province. There are currently over 140 active wildfires across BC. Warm and dry weather continues to fuel active wildfire behavior. Over the weekend, several new and existing fires continued to grow, driven in large part by strong winds. An official with the BC Wildfire Service says fire crews are facing challenging conditions.
Many of the areas in BC, especially in the southern half of the province, have dry fuels that are receptive to ignition. And so when we get the conditions we've seen recently with lightning, especially when it's not coming with rain, and that heat and dry weather and wind, it makes it really easy for new fires to ignite and for those fires to burn aggressively.
Additional firefighters are also coming into BC soon, including from the Yukon and Alberta. Well, turning now to medical news, and in a study published this month in the Journal of American Medical Association, researchers have developed a new blood test that could be a major breakthrough in detecting early signs of Alzheimer's disease. Older adults with higher levels of the protein called PTAU217 in their blood were 38% more likely to develop Alzheimer's within the next 5 years. The research could have a significant impact in Canada, where about 750,000 people are living with Alzheimer's disease or another form of dementia, according to Statistics Canada.
Connection that you can have with the water is something that I want people to look for.
Still ahead, a Quebec woman's solo sailing experience to teach people all about the wonders of microscopic plankton. A young woman will soon be setting sail on a solo journey along the St. Lawrence River. Gwen Duval will travel from Montreal to Île-aux-Coudres, delivering letters and teaching people about the wonders of microscopic plankton. Here's CTV's Angela Mackenzie.
Si tu veux m'aider, on peut le tourner.
It's a beautiful day on the water and a chance for Gwen Duval to prepare for her upcoming sailing adventure.
Connection that you can have with the water is something that I want people to look for, find.
Helping her from the dock is her mother, the woman who fostered her love of sailing pretty much from birth.
The first time she was on the boat, she was a very small baby. I think that about 4 years old, she was able to drive a boat. How do you say?
2 years ago, Duval completed a transatlantic sailboat race from Quebec to St. Malo, France, with an all-woman crew. Now, she's headed out on a solo journey aboard the Meaban, her wooden sail and rowboat powered only by wind and muscle. For a month, she'll combine her love of the river with science education and writing. On August 9th, she'll depart from the eastern tip of Montreal and sail 400 kilometers along the St. Lawrence. She plans to stop in at least 11 communities before reaching Île-aux-Coudres around September 15th, her final destination. A trained oceanographer, Duval will hold workshops at each stop, teaching about the plankton that feed the river's ecosystem.
There's something moving very fast. Pew, pew, pew.
With the help of a powerful microscope on loan from Curiosity, Duval will show people the microscopic organisms living in the water.
So plankton, there's some zooplankton, like those ones.
Making the invisible accessible to the average person.
We take some water and there's nothing in it, and then hop, we can watch it. I've seen fascination in the eyes of others, and this, I love it.
At her workshop, she's encouraging people to write letters about the river, which she'll hand deliver from one community to the next. Conditions could be challenging, even treacherous past Quebec City, but her mother says she's confident in her daughter's abilities.
She knows meteo, she knows the currents. She will not go if it's not the time to go.
You can follow Duval's adventure on her Instagram, Courrier du Fleuve, as in River Courier, charting a course to encourage others to protect the St. Lawrence.
When you feel it very strongly, the connection with the nature, you don't want to hurt it. You feel that you're part of a plankton world.
A mission she hopes will be smooth sailing. Angela Mackenzie, CTV News.
Hot air balloons take to the sky in a record-setting festival. We'll share those details when we come back.
Hairstyles, courtesy of Salon Fiorella.
We're going to take one last look at the weather forecast and what you can expect to wake up to. Going to want to take a jacket when you leave out the door tomorrow, waking up to around 21 degrees, so it'll be toasty and likely pretty wet depending on where you are in the city. And that's to be expected for the rest of the week. Look at that, 60% chance of rain on Tuesday, 40% on Wednesday, staying in the mid to high 20s for the next 7. Dozens of hot air balloons provided a breathtaking scene over the town northwest of Moscow today. 50 hot air balloons were launched at an annual Russian Golden Ring Festival, setting a new record. The festival took place in an ancient historic Russian town And those are some pretty cool, well, yeah, I was going to say machines. Modes of transportation. Let's go with that. Good night, everybody.